Welcome to the Agora and Agoge adventure, my dear pupils. Imagine being able to detox your brain, to cleanse it from the overstimulation that modern life often forces upon us. Today we will explore the concept of desexualization and dopamine detox, two powerful techniques that can help you regain control of your life. So sit back, get comfortable, and prepare to embark on an adventure that could potentially change your life. Stay tuned as we delve deep into the fascinating world of brain chemistry and how you can harness its power to enrich your life. Welcome to our journey of self-discovery and mastery. Have you ever wondered how the brain, a 3-pound organ, can have such a profound impact on our lives? This small yet incredibly complex structure has the extraordinary capacity to control not just our physical movements, but also our emotions, thoughts, and desires. The idea that this little mass of cells has the power to direct our behavior, stoke our emotions, and even establish our preferences is amazing. Isn't that intriguing? How tiny an organ within the confines of our skull can be so powerful that it shapes our every thought, every desire, and every action. From the simplest cravings for food to the complex mysteries of our sexual impulses, it's all governed by our brain. It helps us make decisions, experience emotions, and even defines our identity. And it's not just about control, but also about understanding. The brain, despite its miniature size compared to the rest of our body, performs functions that are still not completely understood by scientists. Now consider this. Wouldn't it be advantageous if we could gain control over this organ, given its immense effect over our lives? Discover how to direct our wants, thoughts, and behaviors toward our ultimate life goals. Greetings and welcome to the Agora and Agoge adventure that will cover the amazing territory of the human brain, more especially how to manage it. Dopamine, often hailed as the feel-good neurotransmitter, plays an immense part in our ability to sense pleasure, satisfaction, and motivation. It's a little chemical messenger that packs a big punch, carrying messages across the brain and other important organs. Dopamine gives us drive, concentration, and an interest in new things. It's a significant player in the brain's reward circuit. When we perform an action that is beneficial to our survival, our brain rewards us by releasing dopamine, creating a feeling of pleasure and contentment. This makes us want to repeat conduct and promotes education and drive to engage in similar actions along the road. Interestingly, dopamine also holds a strong sway over our sexual desires. It is the chemical that sparks sexual drive, stimulating both physical and emotional desires. However, there's a dark side to this. When our dopamine levels are consistently high, it can lead to complications such as overstimulation and addiction. This can create a vicious cycle as the more we seek the dopamine hit, the more we stand the risk of getting addicted to it. It's imperative then to understand and manage dopamine levels effectively to ensure we're not caught in a dangerous cascade of addiction. So how does one regain control? Step 1. Comprehend the significant role of dopamine in our essential survival mechanisms. Dopamine, a powerful hormone produced by our bodies, is not intrinsically harmful or malevolent. On the opposite end, it is a fundamental cornerstone to the working of the human system. Dopamine, also known as the feel-good neurotransmitter, drives our primordial instincts to seek out and acquire those basic rewards that are vital to our pleasure-reward system for our survival. This pursuit includes an inherent need for essentials like food and water. Scientifically, when you eat food, your body releases dopamine in response. It's your brain's way of thanking you for providing the energy it needs to function. Similar to our thirst mechanism, where the body's fluid balance is regulated by thirst and the need for water intake, triggered by an increase in the concentration of salts in our blood. This thirst signal is a sign of dopamine release, urging us to seek hydration for survival. Beyond the basic necessities, dopamine plays a crucial role in our reproductive behaviors, catalyzing our desire for sexual activities. It's the dopamine that makes intimacy feel rewarding, thereby encouraging procreation and ensuring the perpetuation of our species. However, the issue doesn't reside in the dopamine itself, but rather in our reliance on it. Over time, our bodies can become conditioned to require the dopamine rush associated with specific activities or substances. For example, excessive use of addictive substances like nicotine or alcohol can lead to a surge in dopamine release, creating a euphoric high. This process reinforces the behavior, resulting in an increasing dependency on these substances for dopamine hits. This dependency triggers an ever-growing hunger for more, creating a continual cycle of seeking out these dopamine hits. Hence, the problem arises when we become excessively dependent on dopamine, leading to a constant craving and potential addiction. As per scientific research, this dopamine dependence can alter the brain's reward system and lead to behavioral changes like decreased motivation, mood swings, and even withdrawal symptoms in the absence of the dopamine hit. Understanding this delicate balance between reward and dependence is crucial in discussing the power of dopamine. Step 2. Identify triggers. Recognizing and appreciating these aspects is essential to desexualizing the brain from various stimuli that provoke sexual thoughts and desires. Ask yourself some key questions. Is there a specific time within the day that you notice these thoughts surfacing more frequently? Could it perhaps be during the solitary moments of the night, or in the early hours of the morning when you're just waking up? Reflect on the surroundings that you're in when these thoughts occur. Are they triggered in a particular environment? Is it a familiar place that evokes recollections of something in the past? Or is it a fresh place that piques interest and curiosity? Keep an eye on your surroundings because they might act as strong triggers for thoughts of sex. Similarly, do specific visual stimuli instigate these desires? It could be something seemingly innocent, like random billboard ad, a scene from a movie, or a glimpse of someone on the street. The key is to uncover these triggers, which could be subtle or overt, by remaining observant and conscious of your thought processes. Identifying these triggers is the first step towards gaining control. Step 3. Implement dopamine fasting. This doesn't mean completely depriving oneself of dopamine. It's crucial to understand that dopamine fasting isn't about total deprivation, about calculated restraint. This concept is rooted in the idea of taking strategic, regular breaks away from certain activities that typically trigger a significant increase in dopamine levels. Dopamine fasting is about consciously distancing yourself from specific stimuli trigger an excessive dopamine response. This could involve a wide range of activities depending on individual habits and lifestyle. For some, it might involve limiting the frequency and duration of exposure to explicit content, which has been shown to often cause excessive dopamine release. For others, the focus might be on controlling time spent on social media platforms, which are designed to hook us and keep us scrolling endlessly, thereby causing constant dopamine hits. There could also be a need to rein in consumption of sugary foods, which are known to stimulate dopamine release. Being self-aware and knowing what causes our bodies to release too much dopamine are the goals, and consciously control exposure to these triggers. By doing so, we aim to reset our brains to a state where they can savor the smaller, less intense releases of dopamine come from more wholesome activities. This could mean limiting exposure to explicit content, reducing time spent on social media, or even cutting down on sugary foods. Step 4. Practice mindfulness. Begin by really taking the time to understand what mindfulness is. Rooted in ancient wisdom and applicable to our modern world, mindfulness is the psychological process of purposely bringing one's attention to the present moment. Frequently, our worries about the future, the cacophony of our thoughts, and the environment around us can cause us to lose touch with who we really are. This is where practicing mindfulness is so important. By practicing mindfulness, we train ourselves to focus our attention on the here and now. It is about being present in the moment, not thinking about what has happened or worrying about what is yet to come. Paying attention to one's breathing is one of the most important ways to reach this level of awareness. We may ground ourselves in the here and now by tuning into the rhythm of our body through this simple exercise. This practice is not just about quietening the mind, it has tangible benefits. It has been found to aid in reducing the rush of dopamine, that powerful neurotransmitter that can lead to us making impulsive decisions. More than that, mindfulness assists in grounding oneself, not just mentally, but emotionally too. It has the power to reduce feelings of anxiety, stress, and depression, helping to create a sense of calm and balance in our lives. We may exert more control over our impulsive conduct by practicing mindfulness. So keep in mind that mindfulness is a useful tool for living a more contented, calm, and balanced existence rather than just a catchphrase. We may all practice it on a daily basis. Step 5. Cultivate healthier habits. Replace high dopamine activities with lower ones that are still rewarding. For instance, instead of scrolling through social media, read a book. Do some exercise or take up a pastime in place of consuming obscene information. Step 6. Seek professional help. It's okay to get expert assistance if the battle to desexualize the brain and regulate dopamine levels seems too great to handle on your own. Psychologists and therapists can provide methods and approaches customized to each patient's need. To summarize, desexualizing the brain and regulating dopamine levels can be achieved by learning about the effects of dopamine, recognizing triggers, applying dopamine fasting, practicing mindfulness, developing better behaviors, and if necessary, obtaining professional assistance. Remember, it's not about completely eliminating dopamine or sexual thoughts. It's about understanding them, controlling them, and not letting them control you. It's about taking back the steering wheel from your 3-pound brain and deciding where you want to go. So go off on this voyage. Although it won't always be simple, it will undoubtedly be worthwhile. Your brain is, after all, the control center of your existence. You ought to be in command, don't you? Strike the iron while it's hot, my dear pupils.